What if I told you I knew you were going to slice the golf ball before you even pulled the club back away from the ball? That's right. There's 3 things that slicers do at setup that almost guarantee that they're going to slice the ball. And I guarantee if you slice the ball, you're exhibiting 1, 2, maybe all 3 of these elements. So before we get into these elements, let's talk about like what is a slice, right? So for a right-handed player, a slice is essentially a ball that curves too far off to the right. Now, that could mean it started a little bit to the right and curved to the right. It could mean it started way to the left and curved way off to the right. But the anatomy of a slice is pretty much always the same, and that's essentially that the club face is pointed off to the right relative to the path the club swings on. So, for example, a right-handed golfer, if they fight a slice, typically their path works a little bit outside in or to the left through the ball, and the face angle tends to stay pointed off to the right. That creates a spin axis tilt on the golf ball that makes the ball curve to the right. So if we can really get a little bit scientific here, if we can say, okay, we're going to look at the swing through that lens, we need the face of the club to be a little bit more closed at every stage in the swing, and then we need the path of the club to work a little bit more inside out or out to right field for the right-handed golfer. If we can operate under those assumptions, we can start solving your slice problem. All right, so operating under the assumption that we need to swing a little bit more from the inside, we need to close the club face. There are a few things we can do at setup that sort of stack the odds in our favor, or things that we can do that make it almost impossible not to slice the golf ball. So the first thing is going to be the grip and the handle position. I see slicers all the time walk in with a poor grip and the handle located behind the golf ball. Now, the problem with this is we all know impact tends to look like this for good players, right? The handle in front of the golf ball. Unfortunately, moving that handle in front of the golf ball is a club face opener. So what players will tend to do if they have a weak grip and they've got the handle located behind the ball, they know that they can't get into this awesome position where they can compress the ball. They unfortunately have to scoop to get the club face back to square. Again, that's a big problem. If we want to learn how to draw the ball, if we want to learn how to get rid of the slice, we need to do the opposite of this. Instead of having the handle back behind the ball and applying our grip, I'm going to ask that you push the handle forward and try to get the butt of the club to point somewhere, but around your first belt loop is a good rule of thumb, maybe between your lead hip and the first belt loop. Now, as you do that, I'm going to go ahead and rest that there for a second. We then need to make sure we have a grip that allows us to close the club face. So here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to hold your hands out like you're holding a steering wheel, and we're going to make a little 30 or 40 degree right hand turn. Now, as you do that, your forearms and wrists are going to rotate a little bit. Now I want you to bring that whole system down and apply your grip in that manner. So the handle is forward, the face is square, and I've rotated my forearms, call it 30 degrees or so, down by the ball before I've applied my grip. So now you can see the V on my lead hand kind of runs up to the trail shoulder here, and the same thing with the trail hand. Now I've got the handle forward, the face square, and a little stronger attachment. I have a lot of range of motion to close this club face. Better yet, when I come through the ball and straighten my trail arm, that's going to have a closing effect to the club face as well. So rule number 1 here is going to be making sure the hands aren't back and the grip isn't too weak, too rotated to the left before we apply our grip, especially if we're looking for some compression. This just isn't going to work because the face is going to be pointed way too far off to the right. So instead, we're going to go handle forward, grip pretty square. We're going to go ahead and take a little right hand turn with our steering wheel and then bring that whole system down and apply our grip from here. If you can do that, you're well on your way to fixing step number 1 or element number 1, which is the grip and the handle position. So the second element all slicers show at setup is really poor alignments with their shoulders, hips, and then even their eyes. So let me explain. Again, remember the anatomy of a slice. It's a path that works a little too out to in on the ball, and the face angle tends to stay too open. Well, remember, in element 1, which was the grip and the handle position, we got the face, we got the attachment a lot stronger by leaning the handle forward and having a good grip. But now we may still have this pattern where the club wants to swing over the top. So what we need to do is we need to understand the position we aim our body at setup plays a large role in how that club is going to be delivered on the way down. So let me explain. If we were going to set up to this ball and I really wanted someone to come over the top, I would tell them to do the following. I would tell them to have their left shoulder pulled back, right shoulder pulled forward, their left hip pulled back, right hip pulled forward. Okay, and then I would even tell them to tilt their eyes in a manner that would match an outside-in club path. So I would get my right eye closer to the ball, my left eye further from the ball. Now, I have gone ahead and set every single variable up to look like straight or feel straight by swinging like this. My eyes think that looks straight. My hips, my shoulders, all of that feels very square. However, we know, and you can see it from down the line here, that's terrible. It is way over the top, and I have no chance of not slicing or pulling the ball from there. So I'm telling you, watch your slicers in your life that you know. A lot of them will set up with the lead arm visible under the trail arm. That means their shoulders are a little bit open. Their hips will be a little bit open, and even their eyes will be tilted in this fashion. So if we don't want to swing over the top anymore, we need to go so far as to not just correct this, but even turn it the other direction and try to get your hips, your shoulders, and your eye line closed a little bit at setup so that a straight path from your perspective looks a little bit more what would actually be swinging out to right field. So again, if we want to solve the slice, sometimes learning how to hook it is maybe not the worst thing in the world. So what I would like you to do is go ahead and set up to the ball. Now, remember, we still got the handle forward. We have still got the arms twisted a little bit. That's our great attachment. Now, what I would like you to do is go ahead and push that lead hip and that lead shoulder a little closer to the golf ball. Now, as you do that, you might even notice your neck rotates and tilts to the right. So I would certainly recommend tilting the bill of the hat behind the golf ball in a way that shifts your eyes, your eye line a little bit more out to the right. Now, here's the big key. From the down the line camera, I would want the top of the lead arm to be visible to that camera. If you set up like this, it's a sign. If you can see the lead arm underneath the trail arm, it's a sign that the shoulders are too open. So before we do anything, we're going to go ahead and make sure that top of that lead arm is visible. That right arm is going to come in again, 30-degree steering wheel turn as we do this. I'm going to feel that left hip, left shoulder a little closer to the ball. My neck is going to tilt a little bit so that my eyes are pointed out to the right. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab the club from here. If I can do this, all of a sudden, swinging more from the inside feels a lot more natural. And even according to my eyes, it feels kind of like the right thing to do. And again, from face on, what we would want to see is the lead hip, the lead shoulder a little bit closer to the ball, handle forward. We've got our good grip. And now I'm going to go ahead and take my eye line and I'm going to shift it to the right. So that's simply pointing your nose behind the ball and a little bit closer to you. That's going to shift that eye line a little bit more out to the right. You'll notice with a lot of high-level players, if you look at them at impact, they hold that neck tilt in that position because that helps them swing that club a little bit more from the inside. Okay, so the third and final thing almost all slicers show at setup is really poor spine tilt. And what I mean by that is basically the relationship between the pelvis and the sternum. So if I wanted to teach someone to slice the ball, I would say, hey, push your trail hip back over your foot, your right foot, and then I would say, go ahead and lean your left shoulder down and forward. Now, this would position the spine to lean toward the target. Now, this can work for some players, don't get me wrong, but I'll see a lot of slicers, again, handle back, open with their shoulders, their sternum closer to the target than their center of their pelvis. And all of a sudden when they go back, this is setting the stage for a little pelvis slide and reverse pivot. Now, that in itself doesn't mean it's going to be a bad golf shot, but for a slicer, it can sometimes be a death sentence because as you start to do those movements, the arms just go up, and when you start your rotation on the way down, everything is going to want to work over the top. So what we need to do, if you're trying to stop slicing the golf ball, we're going to try and, again, neutralize our spine or maybe tilt it slightly away from the target. So what I mean by that is we have to get the belt buckle a little bit closer to the target than our shirt buttons. If I really wanted to push it, it might look a little bit more like this. I'd get my left hip more over my left foot, and then I would take my left ear and push it behind the golf ball. Now what that's going to do is create a little bit of shoulder tilt or side bend at setup. From here, if I can have my awesome attachment with the handle forward and a really good grip, if I can show that down the line camera, the top of my lead arm, I can make sure my shoulders, my hips are square, slightly closed, have my good neck tilts, man, as I load up to the top, as long as I don't slide this pelvis, which would be a lot harder to do from this position, as long as I don't slide this pelvis and lean my upper body, if I can kind of swing around this spine angle, I'm telling you, all of a sudden, swinging from the inside and not coming over the top looks a whole lot simpler because as I set up with that certain spine orientation, it makes achieving depth, which is the amount variables move behind us in the golf swing, it makes achieving depth a whole lot easier. And as you transition, the hands will want to stay in versus swinging over the top. Again, if I slid the pelvis back, leaned forward, and I went up to the top, when I start down, everything wants to try and kick out towards the golf ball and swing over the top. Remember, a slice has two things. It has an open club face, it has a path working outside in. So what we need to do is we need to make sure we've got the path working more from the inside and the face angle a touch more closed. So if you can do these three elements, again, in a recap, have a stronger attachment, handle forward, grip rotated to the right. We're going to then make sure the alignment, of the hips, the shoulders, and the eyes are very good. Then we're going to make sure we aren't leaning our upper body towards the target at setup. Instead, we have the pelvis closer to the target, the chest a little bit more behind, point the eye line behind the ball. Okay, from here, it is going to be very difficult for you to slice the ball, and I guarantee you won't do it. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I'll look forward to hearing all of your thoughts on it in the comments.